What you drew? I can't just drink some water. I just drunk some. Man, they try to scare you too, huh? That's the other thing, they try to scare you. Scare you. طيب بسم الله. طيب. الحمد لله وحده. والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Here it is. We continue Kitaab At-Tawheed with the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul-Wahhab rahimahullah. The chapter which comes in slaughtering or offering a sacrifice for other than Allah. We were breaking down and explaining the ayah word for word. The ayah which comes in Surah Al-An'am, what the Imam used as a dalil, as evidence and proof, to show why it is impermissible to slaughter or sacrifice for other than Allah. So verily it says, Inna salati wa nusuki mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Say verily my salah, my prayer and my sacrifice. Last class we said that's Tawheed, what everyone? That's Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. Wa mahyaya wa mamati, my life and my death, that's Tawheed, what everyone? Ar-Rububiyyah. That is for Allah alone. We said the for Allah, meaning these affairs of worship and likewise Rububiyyah is only for Him exclusively, subhanahu jalla dhikruh. So it only belongs to Allah, these affairs of worship such as salah, and such as nusuk, such as prayer, and one offering a sacrifice, of all the different types that we mentioned in the previous class. From those sacrifices, as we said, one puts forth during the time of the Eid, which we are about to perform it at about approximately a month and some days. So that dhabiha or dhaba'ih, what is offered as a sacrifice or what is slaughtered for Allah, as we said in the previous class, if it's done for other than Him, then it's considered major polytheism, which comes as a result of it, like we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, it will nullify one's Islam. Also the different types of sacrifice which one performs, which is only supposed to be for Allah, such as al-aqa'iq and also al-hadaya, what is done when a person has a child who is born, and we know that one slaughters or offers as a sacrifice for Allah for the child, which, like we said, for the male would be 2 shah, would be 2 sheep, and for the female it would be 1. Also, likewise, during the time of Hajj, when the time of Hajj, similar, also during the time of Hajj, as during the time of Hajj, especially if he's performing tamattu', if he's performing tamattu', then he will perform, or he put forth a sacrifice. As during the time of Hajj, especially what they call, if you notice in the rituals, it's called Yawm al-Nahar. Yawm al-Nahar is called the day of slaughter, which is on the 10th day of the Eid. The 10th day of Hajj, the 10th day of Hajj. So you have Yawm al-Thamin, then we know Yawm al-Tasi' is Yawm al-Arafah. It's the day of Arafah. And following the day of Arafah is Yawm al-Nahar. Yawm al-Nahar is the day of slaughter or sacrifice. Why do they call it that? Because we know from the rituals of Hajj that one has to perform a what? From the rituals, in order for it to be complete on the day after the day of Arafah, and when one sleeps, he sleeps in Muzdalifah. The following day is called Yawm al-Nahar, the day of slaughter, which will be for us the day of the Eid. And the people who are living in their residential places, meaning their countries and their homes, in their lands, then that would be the day of the Eid. But during the day of Hajj, that's the day of Yawm al-Nahr. And Nahr also means dabh. It means to slaughter. It's another name for it. For Nahr is the day, or the 10th day of the Eid. Oh, 10th day of Hajj, which is the same day, it falls on the same day of the Eid. But it's on the day of what? On the 10th day of Hajj, where the people either do one of the three things on that day. On the day of Hajj, they either cut their hair or they slaughter. These are one of the three rituals that the people do on that day. On the 10th day of Hajj, they cut their hair. They perform Tawaf al-Ifada. Tawaf al-Ifada. Or they perform and circumambulation around the Kaaba, and they also perform Sa'i. That's called Tawaf al-Ifada. And they slaughter. They put forth a sacrifice on the 10th day of Hajj. I don't know why I came afflicted or tested with this. Please, brothers, do not try to laugh. It's not funny. It's nothing I can do about it. No, that one is. For that day on Yawm al-Nahr, which is the 10th day of Hajj, one will cut his hair and perform Tawaf al-Ifada. Tawaf al-Ifada, and he will also slaughter on that particular day. So those three rituals are done during Hajj. And it's done in order for him, of course we know, that would be a tahallul. That would be a tahallul al-awwal, his first time of being halal. After he's done that. So those are the three things from the rituals of Hajj. The point of why we mentioned in this is because during that day, what is put forth is this type of what? Affair which we're speaking about now, which is what? Offering a sacrifice. That's also from the rituals of Hajj, which has become facilitated now, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, as we know, because they have all those different mu'assasat, those establishments where they make it easy for the people, where a person will want and trust one to slaughter it for him. Where he give his money, and they have a lot of those different types of organizations and establishments during the time of Hajj, and one would trust one to slaughter it for him, where they have made it easy for the people these days. But the point of why we're mentioning this is because that is from those hadaya, from those places, or from those affairs in which one performs during Hajj, and from them is what we're speaking about now, which is what? Offering a sacrifice. And it's supposed to be done only for Allah to bring with Allah. And if it's done for other than Allah, then of course then we know that that person has committed polytheism. Also during the time of Hajj, if one performs tamattu', the type of ritual which is called tamattu' that we talked about in last class, and this is other class in Hajj, brothers. Tamattu', and then you have also ihsar, as we said last class. Ihsar is when something has hindered you from completing the rituals of Hajj. Whether you passed out, whether you injured, or something of an emergency happened, to the point where you injured yourself, and as a result of it, you discontinue the rituals of Hajj. Something major happened to you, whereas, I don't know if it's, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid, a heart attack or what have you. That's called ihsar in the Arabic language as far as the ahkam al-Hajj. That's called when a person is muhsar, meaning he's not able to complete the rituals, but he's still in the state of ihram. So while you're still in the state of ihram, in order to remove yourself out of the state, he will perform a sacrifice, or he will put forth a sacrifice. That's due to the ayah which we'll talk about later. This is not Hajj. So Allah Ta'ala says, فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدِي. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ, meaning ihsar. If you fall into an ihsar, then whatever is facilitated of a sacrifice, meaning what you put forth a sacrifice to remove yourself out of state of ihram. طيب. Also likewise, during the time of Hajj, one will offer a sacrifice if he's afflicted or tested with a sickness in his hair or in his body, where he has to wear something on his head or something of an ailment, and he cuts his hair, for example. if you cut your hair before the time of Yawm al-Nahr, let's just say you cut it. Because we know in Ihram, one is not supposed to remove from his hair unless it's at a certain time. Either he completed the rituals of Umrah, and that will take him out of the state of Ihram, or during the time of Hajj. In the time of Hajj, when the day of Yawm al-Nahr, when the day of slaughtering starts, which is the 10th of the day of Hajj. For here, it's permissible to what? To cut your hair. Before that, it's not. Before it isn't. But if you have an ailment and you cut it due to a sickness or what have you, then a person will have to put forth what they call a hadiyah or fidya. A fidya meaning he will have to put forth a sacrifice for it to compensate for that mahdhur, or that which was prohibited from ihram, and that which is the cutting of the hair. Leave all that off for a minute, brothers and sisters. Like I said, that's class for Hajj. But at any rate, we're just pointing out, or the whole point of why we're mentioning this is that these are the different occasions in which one offers a sacrifice for Allah Ta'ala. We're just giving numerous examples of this. One person put forth this sacrifice in order to what? Fulfill the rights of Hajj or Umrah or the Aqiqah, or the person has a child born, or on the day of the Eid. As far as the day of the Eid, as we know, the Eid al-Adha, for the person who's able to slaughter, then he should do it. Especially if he has the financial ability to do it, then it becomes wajib as it pertains to him. If he has the financial capability. The financial ability is what makes now the hukm obligatory. For the person who does not have it, then we know that is what? That it is not obligatory upon him. Even though a lot of the ulama say it's sunnah mu'akkada, some of them differ, say it's wajib, but some of them say it's sunnah mu'akkada. Sunnah mu'akkada is a highly emphasized sunnah that should not be left off for the one who's able. Majority of them say it's a highly emphasized sunnah that it should not be left off if one is able. If he doesn't have the ability, then the obligation falls off for Eid al-Adha. But if one has the means and he finds the means, then he should do it. He should not leave it off. Because there is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ condemned the person on the day of the Eid, that if he has the ability and he does not slaughter, or he does at least entrust one to slaughter for him, then it says in the hadith, فَلَا يَقْرَبَنَّ مُصَلَّنَا. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not let him draw close to the place of this place of prayer of ours. He says, whoever is able and does not have, or does not slaughter, فَلَا يَقْرَبَنَّ مُصَلَّنَا. Do not let him come close to this place of prayer of ours. Man, his hiccups are irritating. فَلَا يَقْرَبَنَّ مُصَلَّنَا. So we say, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, these are the different types of occasions and examples that we're giving in order to show that all these are the sacrifices that one puts forth where it's only supposed to be for Allah Ta'ala. طيب, if you notice in the ayah Surah Al-An'am, it says it's for Allah alone, meaning that this is from Tawheed, from monotheism and purifying one's monotheism. It's to slaughter for Allah Ta'ala only. And that if it's for other than Him, then no doubt, like we said, خبر إن علم على ذات الإلهية. That it is the lamb here, or the type of for here, is what? Meaning to show exclusiveness. It's something that is done solely and alone for one, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we know, Allah is alamun ala dhat al-ilahiyya. That the word Allah itself means the one is the deity who truly deserves to be worshipped. And it indicates Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah in itself. Because we know that the word Allah is initially the derivative of the word Ma'luh. Allah means Ma'luh. Ma'luh means Ma'bud, the one who's worshipped. So Allah itself, even the word, it's a name upon the one who's the high, lofty, existent. Who truly deserves to be worshipped. Jalla sha'nu. And it's originally, the meaning of it is al-ilah. That's originally how the word is worded. Allah starts with the word al-ilah. But at any rate, the word Allah, like we said, is a name upon that al-ilahiyya al-aliyah. This word is an indication for the high, lofty existence of the one who truly deserves to be worshipped alone. So even when you see the word Allah, it should come to one's mind, Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. Because Allah is from Ma'lu ilah ilahiyya, or Uluhiyya. All of it means that one who only truly deserves to be worshipped exclusively alone. And that's it. طيب. Notice it says again, Rabbul Alameen. If you notice in your books, in the ayah, what does it say? Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. So Allah Ta'ala was mentioned. We said that necessitates what, everyone? Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. When you see the word Allah itself, that in itself necessitates Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. Notice in the ayat again, what comes directly after Allah, what? Lillah, huh? What does it say in the ayah? It's all for Allah. What comes after it? Rabbul Alameen. All of it is for Allah, Rabbul Alameen. Lord of Al-Alameen. So the word Lord, as we know, necessitates Tawheed Rububiyyah. So like we said, there's so many examples in the Quran. You'll find Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah and Rububiyyah are always paired together. Why? Why, everyone? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what you say? What emphasizes it? Which one? Rububiyyah or Uluhiyyah? Rububiyyah. Rububiyyah is lordship. Why is it? Why are they connected? Why usually you'll find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the same context Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah together. Now, Rububiyyah necessitates what? Rububiyyah necessitates Uluhiyyah, as we know. Rububiyyah necessitates Uluhiyyah. That when Allah Ta'ala mentions Rububiyyah, necessitates that He's the one that deserves to be worshipped. And Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah contains Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. What does it mean it contains? Meaning one is doing it at the same time. Why? Why? Because when you're fasting or when you're praying or when you make a dua or what have you, you are doing this out of what? Knowing that you know that the one who created you, sustained you, the one who brought you out of life and from non-existence to life, is the reason you having this knowledge is the reason for why you have this knowledge is making you now worship Allah Ta'ala with this knowledge in your head. You raise your hands to dua because you are now having the i'tiqad of Tawheed al-Rububiyyah at the same time. Why are you worshiping? Why are you raising your hands to Allah? Because you know Allah Ta'ala is the one who's what? He's the one who's powerful and is doing it. So that's Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. He's the one that's able to change your life. He's the one that changes the direction. He's the one that conducts. He's the one who's al-Malik al-Mutasarrif. Al-Mutasarrif fil kawn. He's the one that conducts in this existence, administrates the affairs. That's Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. So based upon this knowledge in your mind and this i'tiqad, you are what? Performing this worship. That's the reason why we said Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah contains what? Rububiyyah. Because you're doing it at the same time, simultaneously. But the Rububiyyah is always mentioned in the Quran because it necessitates what, everyone? Uluhiyyah. The aspect of worship. طيب, Al-Alameen, the Lord of everything that exists. Allah Ta'ala, everything that's created is from the Al-Alameen, no doubt. Why is it called Al-Alameen? Because it's considered a sign of the existence of Allah Ta'ala. Why is it called Al-Alameen? Because it's an alam, it's a sign. Because the creation, all the creation is signs for the indication that Allah is the creator. That they call it alamun ala khaliqi. It's a sign for the creator. It's a sign for what? For the creator. Everything. From the sun, the moon, the star, the skies, the human beings, their bodies, everything. All of these are signs for the indication of what? For the Khaliq. As a poet says in his poetry, فَوَا عَجَبًا كَيْفَ يُعْصَى الْإِلَهُ وَكَيْفَ يَجْحَدُهُ الْجَاحِدُ فِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. You find that the poet says, it's amazing. How can people, the only deity, be disobeyed? Or how those who deny his existence deny it? فَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. He said everything belonged for him. Everything that he's created is a sign, which is an indication that he is only one deity. Also due to the other, upon the Salaf, what he used to say, he says, Al-Ba'ra tadullu ala al-Masir. He says, Al-Ba'ra tadullu ala al-Ba'ir. Excuse me. He says, Al-Ba'ra tadullu ala al-Ba'ir. Wal-Athar yadullu ala al-Masir. والسماء ذات الأبراج والبحار ذات الأمواج والجبات ذات الفجاج ألا يدل ذلك على اللطيف الخبير. It says in the other, one of the Salaf in the past used to say, they say al-ba'ra tadullu ala al-ba'ir, meaning the dung of the mule. When you see it, it indicates there was a mule here. He said the dung indicates there was a what? There was a mule, there was an animal here. He says, well, athar yadullu ala al-masir. He says in the roads, or the traces, or the steps in the land or in the sand, indicates that there was somebody walking here. وَالسَّمَاءُ ذَاتُ الْأَبْرَاجِ وَالْبِحَارُ ذَاتُ الْأَمْوَاجِ وَالْأَرْضُ وَالْجِبَالُ ذَاتُ الْفِجَاجِ أَلَّا يَدُلُّ ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّطِيفِ الْخَبِيرِ. He says the star or the sama, or the heavens, what it possesses are the stars. And also what you see, the sea, and what it possesses of waves. In the land, what you see possesses of the mountains of the high, different types of signs that you see, its beauty. And the different types of what you see of the different types, whether it be fijaj, of those mountains and those landmarks and what you see. All these are signs. Why? They're signs that indicates a latif al-khabir. It's a sign of the one who is courteous and he is all aware. So notice the poetry is saying that all of the creations are signs of what? Of indicating there is one deity deserving to be worshipped. And that he is all wise and he is all knowledgeable. Even for the human being. If you look at human beings, it's clear and evident that there was an architect and there was a creator. A person can't look at a human being and say, I'm going to put eyes here so he can see, ears so he can hear what's around him, the nose so he can breathe, the tongue so he can taste, lips so he can taste, so he can communicate, so he can talk, give him arms so he can touch, legs so he can get from point A to point B. And he doesn't take an oxymoron to see that was an architect. Doesn't take a person who has not a lot of intelligence to realize that somebody planned that out. That was exactly and accurately, precisely made by someone who is all knowledgeable and all aware. And also, I'll even give it a mate so it can reproduce and continue its what? Its progeny and its existence on earth. And I'll make her different and give her all of her qualities she needs to even what? Nurture the baby. Breast so it can breastfeed the baby. Immense, of course, so we can know how to what? get rid of the egg so they can bring out the new one. This is all architect. Just like every human being would not deny that there was an architect for a car outside. Because nobody would deny to say that they just fell out the sky. Put tires here so it could get from point A to point B. Put a steering wheel in the front so it can turn right to left. Put it in front gear and drive so it could go forward. Put a reverse so it could go backward. Put seats in it so people can sit in it. It doesn't take an oxymoron to figure that out, that somebody was an engineer for that. Somebody was an architect. And he knew exactly what it needed in order to run efficiently. Right? And no one would come except a mukabir, a person who was arrogant, if he was void of being arrogant and stubborn and haughty, he would admit with all honesty and all humbleness and say that, of course, a man made this car. And he made it where he put an engine in it, and he put a steering wheel in it so it can turn. He put windows in it so it can what? So he can roll down, so he can have air, so he can talk or what have you, and put a door in it so he can leave out, and a door that he can walk in. And he put seats in it so he can sit in it. No one would say that no one drew that out. No one. Unless he was mukabir. Unless somebody who was what? Arrogant or haughty, and it was just absolutely has reached the height of arrogance. Similar to that, like we said, the human being is even more bewildering. And the scientists who people who study the human body are even drawing up the conclusion that it was accurately and it was made in a perfected manner to the utmost extent. For every person, if you look at the human being and look how it was designed and all of the different things that are fascinating to the point where it's bewildering, people who study it have all drawn up the conclusion there had to have been an architect. Someone who was all knowledgeable and knew what it needed to be living and able to sustain itself to the end. So that's the reason why these are all indications of what? Or signs who are from the Al-Alameen. Al-Alameen, which is Al-Alam ala Khaliqi. They are signs for the existence of the one who's Al-Khaliq. So no one in this dunya, except that they see that which is pertaining to the animals or to the human beings, except that it is clear as the sun in the sky that there was a what? There was a Khaliq, there was a creator. And not only that, but also likewise, the Khaliq had knowledge of what he's creating. It's the fact that you can even look at see the sign in yourself. Gave it eyes so it could see. So he knew that this one who was a perfect creator knew that it needed eyes to see where it's going. Knew that it needed ears to hear what it's hearing. Knew that it needed a tongue to communicate when it wants to communicate. So it could get his point across. When he needs something, when he doesn't need something, to the end of it. When he likes something, when he doesn't like something, was able to communicate. And like we said, to the legs from moving from point A to point B. And also pertaining to his hands of touching and eating and putting them food in his mouth. All this was an architect. No one, like we said, it was a stubborn person, a person who was arrogant. Can't deny this. There's an architect to this. So from what we're saying in this regard, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, this is all the meanings of Al-Alameen in the ayah. Get rid of these hiccups. Al-Alameen in this ayah. It's the meaning of it. All these are signs that indicate what, everyone? Indicates Al-Khaliq. That's why it's called Al-Alameen. Al-Alameen. It's an indication for Al-Khaliq. Type. We already discussed the meaning of La Sharika Lah. We already discussed the meaning of La Sharika Lahu. He has no partners. La Sharika Lah. We already discussed that, right? La Sharika Lah, like we said, Allah Ta'ala does not negate anything from himself except that it's called As-Sifat As-Salbiyah. As-Sifat As-Salbiyah. As-Sifat As-Salbiyah. Why do they call As-Sifat As-Salbiyah? Meaning they are characteristics that Allah negates from himself. Because they do not befit him. They don't befit Al-Khaliq. They don't fit the creator. The one who creates and the one who's all powerful and dominant and majestic. It's not befitting that he forgets. It's not befitting that he's not aware. It's not befitting that he has children. It's not befitting that he has another deity that creates, or another deity that administrates the affairs or conducts in this existence like him. It's not befitting. Or it's not befitting that he creates without a purpose. It's not befitting for one who's all intelligent, all wise, all perfect in these attributes. So Allah doesn't negate these affairs except that he's affirming what? The perfection or the completeness of what he's negating. And we gave numerous examples of it. Like, for example, we said in the last lesson, which is what, everyone? It's a lot. It's a lot of ayah. From this is this ayah, Surah Al-An'am. Here. La sharika la. When you see la sharika la, isn't that negation? Allah is negating from himself something. What is he negating from himself? Sharik. He's negating from him a partner. So no ayah that you'll find where Allah negates, which they call as-sifat as-salbiyah. Because لأن هذا الصفات غير لائقة بالخالق لا تليق به. It's not befitting for the one who creates. Like we talked about for the ayah, ما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما باطلا ذلك ظن الذين كفروا فويل للذين كفروا من النار وما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين. Allah Ta'ala says in His book that we did not create the heavens and the earth batila, with no purpose. And another ayah similar to the meaning, we did not create the heavens and the earth and there was between them joking and jesting. We need just to create it with no reason. So not in which Allah Ta'ala, when He negates from Himself all these affairs in order to affirm what, everyone? Absolute perfect hikmah. In order to affirm the characteristic of al-hikmah. That Allah does not create or He does not conduct in this existence in a certain manner. We allow certain affairs to happen, except behind it was wisdom. Whether it be evil, or whether we perceive it to be evil, or whether we perceive it to be good from the creation, Allah did not allow that affair to happen, except there was some wisdom behind it. Allah allows evil to happen too, but we don't ascribe, as I talked about in these blessings before, we do not ascribe evil to Allah. But however, in regards to the creation, we deem it to be what? Good or evil. When Allah Ta'ala negates these characteristics, it's in order to affirm, like we said, the completeness of His what? Of His opposite. And those are called as-sifat al-thubutiyya. Those characteristics which are perfect, which He affirms for Himself, absolute complete wisdom, absolute complete life, absolute complete self-sufficiency and dominance, and being free and independent from the need or any need of anything. All those are called as-sifat al-thubutiyya. In which al-thubutiyya, as-sifat al-thubutiyya, meaning those sifat which are affirmed for Allah, which is the completeness of what was negated, or the opposite of what was negated from it. Those are called as-sifat al-thubutiyya. And like we talked about on many occasions where Shaykh al-Islam has said, nothing is praiseworthy unless it contains in another affair. Because النفي المحض ليس بشيء بل هو معدوم. Because just mere negation is nothing. This is mere non-existence. Unless you come with another affair. إلا إذا أتيت بأمر وجودي. Or أمر وجودية or صفات الثبوتية, or an affair which is wujudi. You have to come with another affair that has to what? Be brung in its place. So just mere non-existence is not completeness unless you come with something else to fulfill or fill its place, which is the completeness of what you negated. And that you will find by that is the difference between what he mentioned in Al-Aqidah Al-Wasitiyya is the exact same thing. What he mentioned in Al-Aqidah Al-Wasitiyya, likewise, where he said, in regards to these characteristics, which Allah negates from Himself, you cannot just suffice with mere negation, even in the aspect of the sifat of Allah. Unless, in order for the affair to be complete, you have to come with another affair, which is al-amr al-wujudi, which is as-sifat al-thubutiyya, which is another affair to fill its place, which is the characteristic of which have been affirmed for Allah, which are complete. And that's the reason why you'll find that the madh, or the praise of Ahl al-Batil from the Jahmiyyah and the Mu'tazila, especially the Jahmiyyah, is negation, mere negation. They say Allah is not above. That's praise. Allah is not under. Allah is not close. Allah is not to the right. Allah is not to the left. You'll find even their books, how they praise Allah is something that makes your skin crawl. That's their type of praise. Mere negation of certain affairs. And like I told you, and I gave an example, just to give an example. If someone came to you and says, you're not a plumber, you're not a carpenter, you're not a banker, you're not a carpenter, you're not a plumber, how would you look at the person? Huh? Exactly. What am I? Are you making a joke? Are you joking with me? You trying to make mockery of me? I'm praising you. You're not a plumber. You're not a carpenter. You're not a trash truck. You're not a person that collects trash. What are you trying to say? So Allah Ta'ala, if you do the similar praise, then it's similar to what Al-Batil, what they do. Unless you come with an affair, which is an amran wujudiyyan, which is bringing forth those sifat al-thubutiyya. And every time you see when Allah negates from himself these affairs, it is in order to bring another complete affair of which you negated. And everything that he negates, no matter what it is. Allah Ta'ala, for example, negates from himself not having children, he negates from himself having children, negates from himself having a female companion, he negates from himself having partners, negates from himself a lot of affairs, which is to show how powerful he is, Ta'ala. Oh. No, Surah Al-Ikhlas. He doesn't give birth, nor was he what? Nor was he born. He doesn't begin, nor is he begotten. Certain people don't know what that means. Meaning he doesn't give birth, nor was he born. Which is in that a refutation against a lot of deviant sects who say that Allah came in the form of a human being. So in that regards with Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, that's to sum up what we took from last class, because I don't want to prolong this. طيب. Also, you notice in the last part it says, La sharika lahu bidat. Oh, that's the other ayah. I'm sorry. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتِ وَأَنَا أَوْلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. You got to go ahead. That I've been commanded with, and I'm the first of the Muslimin. طيب. For this I've been commanded with, as we know, is a dalil for al-hasr. It's to show restriction. That he, sallallahu is, that's all, the Muslimin. Is this true? Is the Prophet sallallahu the first of the Muslimin? As we know, the Prophet sallallahu, based upon what you understand, was the first of the Muslimin from this ummah only. But those who preceded from the past was other Muslimin. As we know, all of the ummah of the past from the Anbiya, and the prophets and messengers were all what? All of them were upon the Hanifiyah. All of them were all Muslimin. Right or wrong? All the way from the followers of Nuh, all the way up for the followers of the little bit of followers he had, Nuh, and also of Musa, any other from the prophets, of those who answered the call to their da'wah, were considered Muslimin. All of them, without any exception. So what's the meaning of the ayah? Meaning, al-idafa here, or al-awwaliyah here is al-awwaliyah al-zamaniyah. Al-awwaliyah al-zamaniyah. والأصلح أن نقول أن تكون الأولية هنا الأولية الإضافية. But anyway, the meaning of أولية, meaning the first here, the meaning of it here is what, everyone? What does it mean? Dawood. I am the first of. Who is it? What does it mean? The first of who? Don't be nervous now as you've been laughing at my hiccups. What's the meaning of Awaliyah here, Amir? Say it again. The first of the prophets? The first of the believers of this nation. So that's the first, that's one meaning that Ahl Ilm mentioned. The meaning of Awaliyah here is Awaliyah Zamaniyah, meaning the first of this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the first meaning of awwaliyah from this ummah. The first of the Muslims of this ummah. That would be him, of course. But that doesn't mean it's absolute in all cases. So the ummah of the past were also what? Muslimun. So the awwaliyah here of being the first is who? Is pertaining to this ummah, excuse me. He's the first of those of the Muslimin from this ummah. There's also awwaliyah, they call it, so that's awwaliyah zamaniyah or idafiyah. Meaning the first of Muslims from this nation, and that awwaliyah here, meaning the first of, is pertaining to a time, a specific time. A specific time. Say it again. No. This is written in your books. I am the first of the Muslimin. It's not in there? No, it says the whole ayah is Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin la sharika lahu wa bidhalika umirtu wa ana awwalul muslimin. That's the complete ayah. Just in certain people's books, it just cuts off in the middle, that's all. But that's the whole ayah. For some odd reason, it's just mentioned a part of the ayah. I'm mentioning the whole ayah. So the ayah which is Surah Al-An'am completely is, verily my salah, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, my death is for Allah, Rabbul Alameen. He has no partners. And with this, I've been commanded, and I'm the first of the Muslimin. It's not in your books, but the whole ayah is like that. The whole ayah is like that. Is it clear? Because some of the books it doesn't have the ayah. Like, so the first type of awwaliyah here, the first of is what? First, as far as in pertaining to a specific what? Specific time. Specific time. There's another meaning, they call it awwaliyah ma'nawiyah. It's the second type of awwaliyah. First of. Meaning, what they call ma'nawiyah. Awwaliyah. Awwaliyah just means the first of, or for lack of better words, the awwal means first. Awwaliyah here, meaning the first of. So you have awwaliyah zamaniyah, the first of a specific what? Time. Then you have another type of awwaliyah, which is what? Ma'nawiyah. Ma'nawiyah meaning that it's a meaning it's intangible, but it's there. Meaning, what does that mean by that? Meaning that the greatest of those who are in their Islam, and the most complete of them, and their submittance is who? It's the Prophet ﷺ. So that's also what's intended. Meaning, I'll say it again, the awwaliyah here, as far as the awwaliyah, I'm the first of the Muslims. What does a person think when he reads that ayah? I'm the first of the Muslimin. Meaning I am the greatest of those in their Islam, and the most perfect and accurate and precise and complete as far as their inqiyad and them surrendering to Allah is the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it either means that meaning or it means what? This meaning. As far as the meaning of awwaliyah. Meaning as far as ma'nawiyah. As far as in the aspect of what? Something that's intangible such as one's belief. His creed. So write that down, everyone. So it's either zamaniyah, meaning as far as time, or it's ma'nawiyah, meaning as far as in belief. And as far as being the greatest of those who are what? In their Islam, and also in their surrendering to Allah Ta'ala, and them being complete in that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's the other meaning of what? Awwaliyah. طيب. Now let's move on. There's an example of that. Person would say, well, what's the example of that? An example of that, ya ma'ashal ikhwat, is an ayah, where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in his book of Surah Al-Baqarah. You'll find there's an ayah where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, when Ibrahim had asked Allah to show him how he brings the life back to the dead. So, إذ قال إبراهيم ربي أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي. طيب, as we know what happened with Ibrahim عليه السلام عليه وعلى نبينا أفضل الصلاة وتم التسليم, that he said in the story what happened with what? With Ibrahim. Oh Allah, show me how you give death, I give life back to the death, back to the dead. So Allah Ta'ala says, do you believe? He says, of course. However, to make my heart be at ease. Be at ease. You'll notice that Ibn Kathir and other than them bring the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Keep in mind, we were speaking about what? Awwaliyya ma'nawiyya. That's what we talked about. Ibn Kathir mentions in his book, in his tafsir, where he says, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he says, Nahnu, we are more befitting of doubt than Ibrahim. Nahnu awla bishak min Ibrahim. Which is the hadith is authentic. Nahnu awla bishak min Ibrahim. We are more deserving of doubt than Ibrahim. I taught this years ago when I was at hadith about 10 years ago. The same thing I'm discussing with you now as now. We are more in doubt. We are more deserving of doubt than Ibrahim. طيب, did Ibrahim doubt of the qudra of Allah? Absolutely. طيب, so what's the meaning of the ayah firstly? I'll give you guys 10 seconds. After that, I'll answer. Did Ibrahim, did he have doubt? What's the meaning of the hadith? And what's the meaning of the hadith? We are more deserving of doubt than Ibrahim. طيب, I'll answer. طيب, first of all, Ibrahim had no doubt. That's number one. Number two, Ibrahim already reached the level of yaqeen. This is the highest level of iman. As we know, yaqeen breaks down to three types. You have yaqeen, you have, exactly. You have, what type of, what are you going to say? We have different types of surety. As we know, surety breaks down to how many levels, brothers? 3. The first one is the ilm al-yaqeen. The ilm al-yaqeen. Ilm al-yaqeen. Surety with knowledge. Then you have the second level, which is called ayn al-yaqeen. Ayn al-yaqeen. Ayn al-yaqeen. You have the level of surety with the eyes. Then you have haqq al-yaqeen. Haqq al-yaqeen. Surety with it being true. Haqq al-yaqeen. Haqq. With truthfulness. For sure. And Allah Ta'ala mentions all three of these in his book. Every single last one of them. All right, I'm going to branch off. We talked about Kitaab At-Tawheed. طيب. So Ibrahim was surety in truth, with truthfulness. Surety with truthfulness, which is the highest level of yaqeen, which will happen to everyone. They'll see it surely after death is over. Everybody will have that level, but then it'll be too late for some. طيب. Which level was Ibrahim talking about here? He already reached the level of what? Ilm al-yaqeen. Knowledge of yaqeen. What he already reached before he asked Allah. Before he asks Allah to show me how you get life to death, I give you that death back to life. Not exactly. So Ibn Kathir said he was the fact, brothers, you gotta realize just the fact that he reached the level of yaqeen is like khalas. It's like he reached the level of surety. That's the highest level. You can't go no higher of yaqeen. Khalas. You have surety. Khalas. So the fact you have ilm al-yaqeen, ilm. So the fact that he had the level of knowledge of what? Of yaqeen, surety with knowledge. With knowledge. So Ibrahim wanted to go from the level of ilm al-yaqeen to what? Ayn al-yaqeen. With the eyes. So he wanted to go another level of yaqeen. But to let you know that he was already at the level of what? Of surety. He was already at the level of yaqeen. So he wanted to go from ilm al-yaqeen to ayn al-yaqeen. So he reached that level. Where Allah Ta'ala showed him of how he gives life after death, or life back to the dead. Or life to the dead, what he did with the birds. And how he had what? He had slaughtered the birds, and then Allah Ta'ala had told Ibrahim to call them back to him, and they came back to him all perfectly what? As if they wasn't even slaughtered at all. So he wanted to go from one level of yaqeen to another level of yaqeen. Type. So that answers the first question. Type. So now what's the meaning of the hadith? The meaning of the hadith is if there was shak, if there was doubt, and it isn't, then we're more deserving of that than Ibrahim. If there was doubt, which it wasn't, then we're more deserving of it than, they're more deserving of it than what? Than Ibrahim. Even though we don't doubt, but even and likewise Ibrahim did not have any doubt. If it was doubt, then we're more deserving of it than Ibrahim. To show respect for what? Abul Anbiya. To show respect for the father of the prophets. That if there was doubt, then we are more deserving of it than Ibrahim. Even though he didn't doubt, and nor inshallah we do not doubt. But the only way you can achieve yaqeen is by ilm. The only way you can reach the level of surety is by knowledge. And this is the key point in which even Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned. The only way a person can reach the level of yaqeen is by ilm. It's not by just ibadah. It's by ilm. By ilm, of course, then implement it which is in your ibadah. But just doing mere ibadah without any ilm, you will not be able to attain the level of yaqeen. You cannot reach the level of yaqeen upon jahl. Does that make any sense? You can reach the level of yaqeen with jahl, with ignorance. Be ignorant and reach the level of yaqeen. Really? Oh, really? Reach the level of yaqeen with jahl, huh? It's impossible. You cannot reach the level of yaqeen upon ignorance. The only way you can reach the level of yaqeen is by ilm. That's it. The ilm, especially the ilm of al-usul. The ilm of aqidah. The ilm of al-usul and al-mu'taqad, of the belief and system of Ahl Sunnah. And all those principles. And of course, ibadah later on, based upon, being built upon, off that foundation, will also gain the level of, help you reach the level of yaqeen, no doubt. But it has to be based upon what, everyone? Everyone? Upon the ilm. There's no way you can reach the level of yaqeen upon jahl. It's impossible. A person has to have the ilm if he wants to reach the level of yaqeen. طيب. I don't have to go over that right now. Next, what's the next ayah in your books, everyone? What does it say? Jade. The next ayah, you'll find that the great Imam used as a dalil, as evidence of proof, which comes in Surah Al-Kawthar. صَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray for your Lord and slaughter. We just talked about the word nahr a couple of minutes ago. Remember I say it's similar to dhabh, similar to sacrifice and offering as a sacrifice. Right everyone? Because that's the 10th day of Hajj. It's called Yawm al-Nahr, meaning the day of slaughter, which also means the word dhabh, which is the 10th day of Hajj. Yawm al-Nahr. So notice that the verb is used in this ayah, which is what? فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Wanhar, from nahr, which is the slaughter. طيب. Notice that the great Imam used this as a what? As another dalil, showing how sacrifice was offering as sacrifices only for other than Allah. Surah Al-Kawthar. It's not in your book, it's in your book. It's in everyone's book. Should be in there. It's not in here. Oh. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray for your Lord and sacrifice. The same examples that we give all the time is also in this ayah. Verily you, Muhammad, we gave, you the Kawthar. Allah Ta'ala's actions is what? Tawheed. Allah Ta'ala's actions is what? Singling out Allah Ta'ala with his actions is what, everyone? Tawheed. Rububiyyah. Singling out Allah Ta'ala with his actions is Tawheed wa Rububiyyah. طيب, is it in this ayah? Of course, the whole ayah isn't in there. Recite the whole ayah. Recite the whole ayah. It's not in your book. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Verily, we have given you the Kawthar. Surah. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. We have given you the Kawthar. We have given you. Whose action is that? Allah Ta'ala. Again, Tawheed Rububiyyah. So now Allah Ta'ala says, as a result of it, the reason, pray to Him alone and slaughter. Which is that? Salli li rabbika wanhar. Tawheed al-uluhiyyah. All throughout the Quran, Allah Ta'ala mentions His actions, then tells the slave what? Unify Him in His worship. Because salah is what? From uluhiyyah. Slaughtering, sacrificing is from what? Uluhiyyah. Is it clear what I'm saying, Sheikh? Surah Al-Kawthar. Show it the one verse in the Quran. Sheikh, you tired right now. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Fasalli li rabbika wanhar. So now, you'll find in the ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, because of this, and the reason for this, pray for Him alone and sacrifice to Him alone. So all these are from the affairs of uluhiyyah. So Allah Ta'ala says, Fasalli. Because of you and Him bestowing His favor upon you, and He has given you this ni'mah, which is from His Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, from His Rububiyyah, from His actions, and given thanks upon this ni'mah, then also likewise perform the affair of fulfilling Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah to Him, which is only solely, exclusively making for Him alone, your prayer and your sacrifice. And you notice Allah Ta'ala made sacrificing a part of what? Ibadah. Why? Why? Because He coupled it with what? Coupled it with the salat, with the prayer. So this is to show what? That sacrifice is an affair of worship. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paired it along with what? With salah. Is it clear? Huh? Jay? Nope. Nobody, come on. We already talked about that. Fine. So that's clear. Because we know from the greatest affairs of worship, as far as the body, which is what? It's the salah. Greatest affairs of the body. Ibad al-Badaniyah. Even Shaykh al-Islam mentioned this fa'idah. The greatest affairs of ibad al-Badaniyah, of the body, is the salah. Whereas you'll find that also the greatest of al-ibadah al-maliyah, as far as al-mal, as far as money and things are valuable, which is also in there of zakah, is also sacrificing slaughter. Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? And Allah paired them together. I don't know why I have these hiccups, don't ask me. That's Allah Ta'ala coupled them together to let you know that that sacrifice is what? Only for Him. Taib. So what's the rule? Want us to sacrifice the slaughter for other than Allah? If somebody calls on the meat and says, this meat is for wali so-and-so. So-and-so wali from the Sufis is what they normally do. So-and-so sacrifices for you. Oh, wali, Abdul Qadir Jilani, this is for you. Person does that, what's the ruling? It's polytheism. Does it matter whether or not he's a righteous person or a wretched person? Abdul Qadir Jilani, if you look in the history of it, which we'll talk about inshallah at the time, he was actually a person from the righteous, he was a person from Ahl Sunnah. However, the Sufis are the one that twisted the whole history. But if you go back to the history, go back to the Imam al-Dhahabi, mentions Siyar al-A'lam Nubala of Abdul Qadir Jilani, read the history of it. He's actually a person from Ahl Sunnah. However, they twisted up the what? The Sufis came along, people who are so-called Jalani, I think they call it here in America, his followers, they call him Jalani, so-and-so, and then they have their lineage of Jalani, name all their Sufi followers Jalani. Not realizing if you go back to the true authentic story of Abdul Qadir Jilani, he was totally against this. However, they come with a fabricated story, and they lie upon him, and they bring forth these type of stories and fairy tales to justify their polytheism and their so-called evil practices of shirk and polytheism, and then ascribing it to say that we're followers of Abdul Qadir Jilani. But Abdul Qadir Jilani was originally from Ahl Sunnah. He was people from the righteous, inshallah. But however, they twisted up the story of what happened to him in order to so-called let it agree with their hawa, with their desires of misguidance. But inshallah, if I ever had time, I'll read some of the stories. I'll read the story of Imam al-Dhahabi mentions by Abdul Qadir Jilani. Who Abdul Qadir Jilani was. But Abdul Qadir Jilani was a person who was known for salah, for uprightness, righteousness. As Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad Jami used to mention that in a lot of his lessons. Like when I used to listen to Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad's a lot of his lessons, that he used to mention that. He said Abdul Qadir Jilani was from those who was known for uprightness and salah, and uprightness. He says, however, it was his followers that actually started twisting and doing things that were in totally contrast to what he was about. So if a person now is to slaughter the meat and mention in the name of another person, then a person, if he does that, he's nullified his Islam, and that meat, like we said, becomes what? It was haram. Can't eat it. Does understand? Everyone understand? Next hadith on Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. Everything all right? Okay. Yeah, Charlie, oh, your foot just went to sleep. طيب. طيب, on يطاع Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu says, حدثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بأربع كلمات لعن الله من ذبح لغير الله لعن الله من لعن والديه لعن الله من آوى محدثا. And another narration will go over محدثا also. محدثا بالفتحة وبالكسرة both. محدثا لعن الله من غير منار الأرض. In a طيب, the hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib, that Allah cursed, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم حدثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بأربع كلمات. بأربع كلمات. Read your book. He said, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم told me four words. أربع كلمات. First thing, Allah curses the one who slaughters for other than him. Allah curses the one who slaughters for other than him. And Allah curses the one who curses his parents. Allah curses the one who curses his parents. Who? And Allah curses the one who gives shelter to a muhdith. A muhdith. In another narration, muhdath. He gives a shelter to a muhdath or a muhdith. Both. We'll talk about the meaning of it. Gives shelter to a muhdith or shelter to a muhdath. And Allah curses the one who changes the signposts of the land. Changes the signposts of the land. What does that mean? It's somewhat. Is the flag? That's not the meaning. It's not the meaning. Whoever changes the signposts of the land. We'll talk about that in a minute, don't worry. It means that we'll talk about the signpost, meaning signpost is put on a landmark to show what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else. Or what mainly belongs to you. And this to show how complete our religion is. Allah Ta'ala had absolute infinite knowledge of what He revealed. For example, a person has a farmland. He has a much square feet of land. Usually, of course, in certain days, they probably still use it to today. They put certain landmarks to show that this is where it cuts off. Or they'll put a certain land or marker to show that this is he owns this side or he owns this property. Right? So now you know what's yours and what's not yours. By a person who shaitan might try to trick, he wants to be greedy, he'll move it over a little bit further to his. Or push a little bit back to yours to make his land more stretched to what? So this is my amount of land while you have less. So I'll push it to a little bit closer to yours. So this signpost now he's amassing now or accumulating for himself more land that does not belong to him. Which it doesn't belong to him. You push it back. So now what? This is mine. Out of trickery and treachery. So now it's as if you're trying to steal land of what you do not own. This is how to show what? How comprehensive our religion is. To the point even gives a hukum of what happens in the affairs of agriculture. For people who live in those remote lands, especially in the farmlands, this usually happens. You understand, everyone? But people have a signpost, and like I said, I don't know what they use as markers now these days. Or they use stakes too? They still do it? Wow. Wow. I didn't even know that. You just increased me in more yaqeen on what I'm talking about. So now you said that people even use sticks or posts. This is what the hadith is talking about. So you take that post and you push it towards what? Push it towards your land or the person who's evil. I'm going to push this a little bit further towards his. So now I can amass a lot more what? I can accumulate now more land. Doesn't belong to you. To the point where the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah curses the one who does this. Why? Because you're trying to take ownership of something you do not what? You don't own. So it shows the justice of our what? Our religion, what we're upon. And the infinite what? Knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, and He knows what He's revealing. طيب. For that reason, you find that all these affairs of what? Which Allah ta'ala has cursed the person that does these acts. طيب. The first of all affairs is what? Is لعن الله من ذبح لغيره. لعن الله من ذبح لغير الله أو من ذبح لغيره. Allah curses the one who slaughters for other than him. So that shows the first thing in which the Prophet ﷺ used to start with a lot of narrations. Was starting with the affairs of what? Especially if it's in the context of what? Of things that's affecting the people's monotheism. You'll find in a lot of narrations the Prophet ﷺ talked about something that's related to either Tawheed, or either affirming it, or what? Warning from shirk. So notice here in this narration, the Prophet ﷺ started with what? Warning from shirk, and then going down the ladder. So at the head of all of those affairs is what? Slaughtering for other than Allah, which is affairs of Tawheed. Right, everyone? And which is contrast, or what contradicts it, which is what? Which is polytheism. Here's an example of what? Polytheism. And idolatry. Where a person slaughters for other than Allah, then Allah Ta'ala what? Curses the person. طيب. It's either two probabilities. Number one, يحتمل أن يكون المراد بهذا الحديث إما يحتمل المعنى الذي يدل على الخبر. So first thing, that the meaning of it, that it indicates what? It necessitates, what do you mean al-khabar? The Prophet ﷺ is informing that Allah curses the person directly. What is the meaning of la'an, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa? As we know that the meaning of la'na is al-ib'ad an rahmatillah. Is to cast one out and to put him far away from the mercy of Allah. Or either to expel him, or to put him far away from. You write this down? I told you, this is class, it's not lectures. You don't just sit looking at me. طيب, la'na of Allah, what's the curse of Allah mean? As we know, it means to expel. طرده أو إبعاده عن رحمته تبارك وتعالى. To expel a person or to put him far away from His mercy. So this affair is not what? It's not easy. This affair is tremendous. So, one probability is that this narration indicates what, everyone? Khabar. The Prophet ﷺ is informing about what? That Allah will curse the person that does it. Second, يحتمل أن يكون جملة إنشائية مما تدل على أنها دعاء من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So another probability, the second one is, that's a جملة إنشائية or خبر إنشائي, meaning something that the Prophet ﷺ said as if he's making dua against the person. Meaning, oh Allah, curse the person who what? Does this. Meaning to curse the person who what? Slaughters for other than you. طيب, whether it be upon the first probability or the second one, both of them are tremendous. So a person should stay away from slaughtering for other than Allah. You fall under the la'na of Allah Ta'ala. And as the chapter what's going to come after this chapter is also pertaining to what's the hukm of the person who actually slaughtered in the place where shirk was committed, as far as slaughtering and sacrificing for other than Allah. How we're going to talk about in the next narration, not the same chapter, the next chapter, not here, the next chapter. How shirk can even affect the land. It can affect the land to the point where it's prohibited to even do certain aspects of affairs of worship in places where shirk was performed. Where shirk was performed. We'll talk about that. Don't worry, we'll get the details. So I don't want nobody to come to me and say, because I know this came to me years ago. So how have you made a mention of a church? Why we can pray in the church? Because that had happened to me. And we'll talk, giving the details of it. Don't worry, because I know it's coming. Trust me. Based upon experience. Don't think that's what it means. I'm going to get the details. That's in the next chapter coming, inshallah. Okay? طيب. So this narration is to talk about, number one, that Allah Ta'ala curses the one who sacrificed for other than him. Who offers a sacrifice for other than Allah falls under la'na. طيب. The second, what does it say? Huh? Allah Ta'ala curses the one who curses his parents. Based upon this hadith, Ya Ma'ish al-Ikhwa, a lot of the Sahaba even were stunned at this. مَن يَلْعَنْ وَالِدَيْهِ. As a lot of the Sahaba were even stunned, who would curse their own parents? Who would want to curse their own parents? Or who would curse their parents or curse at their parents? Who would want to do this? To the point where they were in a state of amazement. To let you know how this affair is tremendous. To the point where you will find people that actually curse at their parents directly. The Prophet ﷺ gave another explanation here in the narration, if you notice. What does it say? There's another narration where the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba said, "O Messenger of Allah, who would want to curse their parents? Who would do that?" So the Prophet ﷺ gave another explanation. He says, يَسُبُّ الرَّجُلُ أَبَا رَجُلٍ فَيَسُبُّ أَبَاهُ وَيَسُبُّ الرَّجُلُ أُمَّ رَجُلٍ فَيَسُبَّ أُمَّهُ. Where he said that the meaning of the hadith is a person would curse the father of another man. So as a reciprocal to that, he will what? Curse his father. And you would curse the mother of another woman, the mother of another man, which is in a reciprocal or repercussion to that, which is what? He will what? That man whose you mother curse, he curses your mother. So the Prophet ﷺ made the hukm of a person that does it indirectly as if you did it what? Directly. Say it again. And they curse your father, it's as if you did it directly. You understand? Is it clear? Is it clear or not clear? Also, the shahid from this hadith, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwa, listen to how the Sahaba found it strange that who would curse their parents. So in the first part of the hadith is saying, who would do that directly? To let you know, to a direct curse, how would that be? If you just did it even indirectly, which is considered the hukm of doing it directly, what about if you just did it directly straight to the point? To the point where the Sahaba found that extremely strange. Who would want to do that? Who wanted to curse their mother and their father? Is it clear? Now, does this religion call to destroying lands and destroying families and doing filthy? This hadith clearly shows have respect for one's what? His parents. Right, everyone? Jayyid. Tayyib. So the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Ta'ala curses the one who does it. Where, like we said, the hukm of a person that does it indirectly is as if you did it what? Directly. That's also due to the ayat that's in direct correlation and in agreement with the ayah. Where Allah Ta'ala says in His book, as we know, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. The Allah Ta'ala says in His book, do not curse those who what? Who invoke other than Allah. So as a repercussion to that, they will what? They will insult and curse Allah without knowledge. You'll find that Ahl Ilm, فَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. As we know that cursing people's deities It's something that's matlub shar'an. To curse one's other deities and make mockery of it and talk, speak ill of it, is actually praiseworthy. To mock. It's in there. Tafadal. No. That was Nadir. That was Nadir. I always forget my phone. يدعون من دون الله. طيب التامة والصلاة القائمة محمد الصيوط مقام محمود ذي وعده. طيب سورة الأنعام 108. طيب, for what we say, ya ma'ashal ikhwat, based upon this hadith and also the ayah that shows that the qaida of the principle that's extracted from this hadith is what? That a person who curses, indirectly, that a person that actually causes the curse, even though it's indirect, بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْمُبَاشَرَةِ فِي الْإِثْمِ, is at the level of the one who directly does it, and it's in the same level of sin. As if a person directly what? Does it. So that's one narration to show that. Ayah is an ayah that also shows that likewise. It's just in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 108. Surah Al-An'am, 108. والله تبارك وتعالى says in that ayah, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيُسُبُّ اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ علم وكذلك زيّن لكل أمة عملهم. Allah تبارك وتعالى says in his book, do not insult those who invoke besides Allah. Of course, the meaning also likewise of it is their deities. Their deities. Not to insult it. But listen though. You'll find that even from the shurah of the hadith, I'm going to try to bring it a little bit later, to curse, to make mockery, or to condemn those false deities is actually what's requested in the religion, to condemn them. Shirk, kufr, pathetic deities, stupid pathetic deities. But if it's in a maqam or situation where is if it would necessitate them insulting Allah Ta'ala back, then one should not do it. Or else you carry the sin of as a result of the one, if you was to what? Say it, whereas they was to curse Allah Ta'ala as a result of it. So amongst yourself to say, they worship shirk, kufr, stupid deities amongst your people, fine. But to do it in front of them and to mock their deities in front of them, which will come as a result of it, this type of repercussion, then it's prohibited. You understand? Where you say to one of them who's a Buddha worship, you worship bald-headed Buddha, then after that, they will say something about your Lord Ta'ala. You understand, everyone? Is it clear? Jade. Even though, like we said, to condemn the idols of those who are worship other than Allah is matlub. One's supposed to do it. Supposed to condemn the idols and the false deities, no doubt. But if it comes as a result of, like we said, of the cursing Allah Ta'ala, as it clearly says in the ayah, فَيَسُبُّ اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. They will insult as a repercussion or reciprocal to that. They will what? Curse Allah without knowledge. Allah Ta'ala, they will curse Allah in enmity without knowledge. In enmity without knowledge. عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Out of enmity. In order to what? To show how they hate also what you worship. So for these, Ya Ma'ish al-Ikhwas, to show how we put everything in a proper place. Well, of course, amongst the Muslimun, amongst our brothers, amongst ourselves, there's nothing wrong with that, inshallah. There's nothing wrong with condemning idols amongst yourself. But if it's in front of those, in front of them, especially in affairs of da'wah, then by all means. If one was to do this and this is to be the repercussion, absolutely abstain and do not do it. Because they'll curse Allah and then you will what? You will have the sin of it. And that's to go back to the qa'idah, the principle we just said, that it's a sabab بمنزلة المباشرة في الإثم من كان يخالفه في الضمان وعلى ما عند أهل العلم من بقية التفاصيل في القضية. That the qa'idah is that the one who causes it is at the level of the one is as if he did it what? Directly. And it shares in the same level of the what? Of the sin. Is it clear? Is it clear? طيب. We got 2 minutes. We'll stop here, inshallah. Any questions about the lesson? Huh? Whole class, huh? It's on there. Anything question about the lesson, brothers? عين اليقين حق اليقين حق اليقين. All three of them mention the Quran. One is the Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Also, we'll get to you later. Yeah, one is Surah Al-Waqi'ah. There's another one is Surah Al-Haqqa. And it's also At-Takathur. They're in all those three. All three. Surah Al-Haqqa, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, and Surah Al-Takathur. It's all three of those. Go back to those three surah and try to find it. But they're there. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah Al-Haqqa, سورة التكاثر ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لتراون الجحيم ثم لتراون عين اليقين ثم لتسألون يومئذ عن النعيم. So notice you heard it, right? You heard it? It's also Surah Al-Waqi'ah. It's also Surah Al-Haqqa. It's in there too. All right? All three levels of yaqeen. طيب هذا وصلى الله وسلم بارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Let me use the bathroom, brothers.